radical equation that starts in a peculiar way. If you ever have the square root of x squared, the square and the square root are opposite operations and they cancel each other. So we'll just get x from that. That's kind of what's happening on the left-hand side of this equation. We have the square root of x minus 2 squared. So we should just rewrite that as x minus 2. And now we can go ahead and do what you usually do for radicals, which is square both sides. So we have 3x plus 34 here. And on this side, we have x minus 2 times x minus 2. Now, a really common mistake right here would be to say, well, x minus 2 squared is just simply x squared minus 2 squared, or x squared minus 4. And that would be wrong. If you're squaring a binomial, you have to write it twice and use the FOIL method. So right here, we'll go ahead and do first, outer, inner, last. First times first, x squared. Outer times outer, minus 2x. Inner, inner, minus 2x. Last and last, positive 4. And that equals 3x plus 34. Combine like terms. X squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 3x plus 34. Take away 3x from both sides, take away 30 from both sides. We'll have x squared minus 7x, take away 34 from both sides, minus 30 equals 0. And now we're in BC factoring. When you have a quadratic in the ax squared plus bx plus c format, but you only have numbers in the b and the c spots, that's BC factoring. And for BC factoring, you're looking for two numbers that add to the first number and multiply to the second. So we need two numbers that add to minus 7 and multiply to negative 30. Now they multiply to a negative, which means they're opposite signs, and the answer is negative, which means out of the opposite signs, the bigger looking number must be negative. So our answers are going to be negative 10 and positive 3. If you need more help on this, go ahead and find our module on BC factoring, where we discuss this in more detail. But for now, we're going to factor this to x minus 10, x plus 3 equals 0. And now we have the zero product rule, which says that if these two parentheses multiply to 0, that could only happen if one of them were 0. So you set both of them equal to 0. And here you add 10 to both sides. Here you take away 3 from both sides. And so it seems like the smallest solution is negative 3. Still, you have to be careful, because for radical equations, you always have to plug your answer back in and check. That's definitely worth writing out. For radical equations, you always have to check your answers. There are definitely some questions where you'll get two answers. They both look right. And the one that doesn't work when you plug it back in is in there as a decoy wrong answer. So you do have to be really aware of that. However, in this situation, when you plug in the negative 3, you're going to see that it actually does work. Negative 3 minus 2 squared and square root of, and square root of all that, and square root of 3 times negative 3 plus 34. So negative 9 plus 34, which is 25. So square root of 25. And on this side, we have square root of 25. So you have square root of 25 equals square root of 25. And that is true. So it actually does work. And the answer here is, in fact, negative 3.